Man, this thing is completely unbelievable, I do swear to you. That how we are phrasing our things, how we are putting our perspectives can be completely life changer. Can be a complete life changer and can change up 120%, hell, 180% of our situations, our life situations. So for example, you're telling to, so for example, suppose that I'm overweight and I'm telling to myself that, hey brother, you know what? Perspective number one would be that, hey man, I'm overweight, I'm a piece of shit, and you know, my life is worthless because I'm overweight. This is perspective number one. Whereas perspective number two would be that, hey man, I'm overweight, so therefore I might have a calling in life which will be pushing me towards the gym industry, and perhaps this is my calling, you know, because I really feel something inside of myself. And later on, by me figuring out my weight issues, I'll be able to just simply get to this place of, hey bro, I'm on this path, I'll be able to help others. With me having this actual, would say, gift in my life, that I just got to this place of being overweight, so therefore I can work on something. Because at the end of the day, if someone is not overweight, then it means that they cannot lose the weight. They will not have the story. They cannot help the people authentically because they haven't been overweight. So this is with being overweight. Second one, my favorite one perhaps, being broke. I currently have a cash flow problem in my business, and so this is the thing where I realized this whole thing. I was like, man, in the first day or in the very two first days, I was like, man, everything sucks, you know. I'm supposed to be quitting this entrepreneurial journey. This whole thing is not for me. It's time for me to get a job, so on and so forth. Despite of me being a damn entrepreneur since I've been making my livelihood. The point over here being is that this is my dream, this was my dream, and this perhaps will be my dream. And this was perspective number one. Whereas perspective number two, which I just got to realize pretty much yesterday, I would say that I just got this light inside my head, like, man, you only have a fucking cash flow issue. This is a chance for you to grow. This is a chance for you to rethink shit. Because finally, you've been in such a rut, I mean by your daily habits, by how you've been conducting the business and so on and so forth. This might be reason for you to change. This might be a sign for you to change. And so, by the end of the day, you will be able to just simply build a better business, build a better service, build a better product, maybe, in the future. And so this was a perspective shift that, hey man, like, I have to figure this whole thing out. And now this thing is just opening me up the places for a new perspective. And so this is the problem with us, that we are just simply so much caught up, and we are just getting so comfortable in our current situations that we just simply do not dare to challenge our beliefs. And so this is something that had been a life-changing and life-forming part of my life, or became a life-forming part of my life, that especially that I've been able to grow with experimenting with Nofap throughout the last basically 6 or 7 years, but very super consciously throughout the last 1.5 years, that man, I can just simply break through those limits. I can just simply push through those limits that my mind is setting for myself, and the perspectives that I'm setting for myself. So for example, hey man, I'm feeling this tingling sensation inside of myself. I feel that I must do this thing. You know, I need to let this thing out of myself. And you're like, man, no, I'm controlling my mind. And so you're going for another day. And that one day turns out to a freaking month and stuff like that. The same thing I've been experimenting also with eating 1 meal a day. And for me, food was always a big thing. And yes, I was overweight. In my teenage years, I was very free, like heavily overweight. And then I started working out, but that's another story. That's a story for another video. So what have happened over there is that I was like, man, okay, now that I got this perspective, what can I do? Because I'm just simply hungry. And I started to question myself, am I really hungry? Is it psychological hunger? Is it real physical hunger? And so most of the times it was just, in the very beginning, a habit. I've been doing intermittent fasting, and this experimenting, starting experimenting with this happened about two years ago, one year ago, 1 year ago with 1 meal a day, 2 years ago with serious intermittent fasting. And so basically what I found is that many times I've been eating a lot and I wasn't physically hungry, but I just simply had this habit that, hey, this is about 3 p.m. So what do? I'm eating my salad for lunch. And so but some days I wasn't even hungry, like some days I wasn't even hungry. Some days I was like, man, like I'm not even hungry. But I still do that in the very beginning because this was my habit. Second, I didn't really have to do anything at that time. I was most of my job back then was I was a freelancer marketing agency. So it was like calling mostly because fulfillment was very little. And I've done that on the weekends. And so basically what happened is that I was like, man, what if I'd be really putting myself every single time to up until the point that I can just simply get to this physical hunger? And so I would be eating only when I'm physically hungry. And so this led me to the experimenting with 1 meal a day. And so I just got obviously this uncomfortable feelings in the beginning, but I had many days when I've been pushing through even the psychological and the physical hunger. And so I had days when I was like physically so hungry that I was like pretty much shaking. I was like, like fucking dying. And I was like, no man, you're eating 1 meal a day because your job is not done yet. And this is how we work. And so I've been challenging my mind. And despite of me being physically hungry as shit, I've been still going through that day. And I was like, brother, like, I don't really care about this thing. I'm keeping myself to this 1 meal a day. And so that ended up, and so basically this is how basically my system works, but I would say that most of the human system pretty much works is that we just do have this hunger reaction. I wouldn't like to get into this, but this is basically the carbs are just simply getting out of your blood. So basically your blood sugar level is getting lower, means that your body had been burning off the carbohydrates, and this is the signal for you that you're supposed to be eating. So basically carbs getting out of your body means hunger. So this is the hunger. This is when the hunger signal kicks in the body. And after that, ketosis happens. And there is ketogenic diet and so on and so forth, but I wouldn't like to lean into this topic. So this is also a topic for another video. But what I wanted to talk about here is that I've been just simply pushing through those days. And so somehow I just simply thought to my mind, so I had like very, very long seasons. So basically throughout the last year, I've been eating 1 meal a day, I would say 90% of the days. And so recently I'm getting back to intermittent fasting because I'm working out a lot and just simply unsustainable. I just simply not able to put in 150 grams of protein in one sitting. Like 3,500 calories in one sitting, bro. It's like, sometimes it's just exhausting. You just simply cannot fucking sleep, with that. So I'm switching back to intermittent fasting. It's like a mixture. And so what I wanted to bring out from here to get back to the main storyline is that your mind is just telling to you something because you have these habits and you are just simply so caught up in your reality and in your perspective that you are just simply not even questioning yourself. And so for me, there are two interesting ideas over here. The very first one is that for me, pushing through the limit of me being hungry and me being able to get through that even physical hunger, which if you're not eating all day long, have been kicking me in around 6 p.m. like super fucking strongly and lasted. And about like 8 p.m. I just simply got to this point when my body got into ketosis. And after that I felt like completely zero hunger, I felt like a newborn child and I felt like full of with energy. So that's when you're just going through that fucking struggle. And so and I've done it many times. So I'm talking about like a year period. Like I have many days when I've been experimenting that. So this is idea number one. And idea number two is that I got so caught up with chasing that thing that Now, whether you believe me or not, I have periods when I was like, man, like I would rather be fucking suffering through the day, so therefore just me being able to stick with my shit, like I'm eating 1 meal a day. Despite of me having to fucking work and despite of my body just simply needs the fucking calories. And I felt that. And so that was also holding me back because you just simply cannot function if it's like you just simply do not have energy. It's like you do not have gas in the tank. It's like the car doesn't go. It's like, no. And so not only just because you're experimenting with extreme shit and just because you're a Nofap and just because you're doing all these exercises out there, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are all figured out. But what I've been blessed to realize is that you will always have to challenge these things because how the heck can we know that we are on the right path? And so this is why we'll have to challenge the shit all the time. This is why we'll have to grow with this thing all the time. And always have this perspective and this shift in perspective can literally be life-changing. And I was watching, or more precisely listening to one of Alex Hormozzi's podcasts, and I love that guy, and I recommend for everyone, both on the philosophy level, both on the entrepreneurial level. Although I have some points in philosophy which I do not really agree upon with him, though, but he has very, very good points regarding to life philosophy, basically. So he told in this podcast that, hey, perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. It's like how you're framing something can pretty much be a difference between you being able to sell a prospect or not. So, for example, if you're this is a good sales technique, by the way. It's like, hey man, you look like a person who loves his family and the kind of a person who has a great family, a great support from the family, towards the family, and loves to hang out. You're just basically look like a great father, right? Yes, of course. Yeah, so this is exactly why you're supposed to be buying this great car with this hand knows what kind of extension. And so now this person associating himself with that shit, that he's a great father, then it is creating mental cognitive dissonance inside of him that, hey man, if I'm not purchasing this vehicle over here, then I would be the exact opposite. And also here's a psychological tendency. We can frame it as however we would like to, but basically this is this psychological tendency here to that, bro. How does it called? Excuse me. Still processing. So, inconsistency avoidance tendency, which is basically the actual tendency for us to be consistent with what we have thought, what we have done, so on and so forth. So this is why basically we are keeping ourselves, our marriages, promises, and so on and so forth. Do not want to get into this again. It's like a long story. But basically, this is how this guy could be pretty much like persuade. Sorry. He could be persuaded this way because we would be just simply associating him with a car. So this is how strong and powerful this whole thing is. And I do not want to repeat him because I wanted to come up with some real life experiences, but framing your life, framing your days, framing everything and what you have is basically everything. And so this is what I've been able to realize now framing my shit as my cash flow thing as like, hey bro, this is a cash flow thing. Like, how can I figure this whole thing out instead of, hey man, the world is all burning down and so on and so forth. No, bro, if you're fucking up with something, this is also framing like the glass is full of water, or the glass is half empty, or the glass is half full. What is your perspective? And this is a broken fucking Greek word though, but so true. And I didn't really understand it, and I didn't really understand why I'm pushing these things of going out with Nofap, challenging myself with running every day, working out every day. Because I've been chasing this thing of, man, your mind is just not telling the truth for you, so you have more inside of yourself all the time. And so I do not want to sound like a fucked up self-help book, but try this thing out and your perspective is changing completely, brother. And whether you believe it or not, this is how we work. And simple little things like this can make a huge fucking difference. And perhaps this whole thing begins with us quieting ourselves, quieting our minds, and being grateful, which is also perhaps comes with the half of the perhaps greatest tool in all of human history, which is called meditation. So this is the thing that I wanted to finish up this video with. Meditation, brother. If you're not doing that, and cold showers also. Cold is just so great that it is unimaginable. So, brother, just phrase it differently. I've been so freaking much caught up in my negative BS ideas throughout the last season. I was like, man, like something is just holding me back. And the thing that had been holding me back was my fucking mind, you know. And despite of me doing all this challenging shit every single day, and some days it's just simply the framing of how you think about yourself and then basically all those things. So this is just so unimaginably powerful. So if you do have anything or anyone around you who is telling you differently and telling you that, hey man, your dreams cannot come to reality, it's like, fuck them, bro. Fuck that shit. Live up to your fullest potential. What you think what your fullest potential is, and build your individual strong self, because unfortunately most of the world around you just doesn't want to see you to cherish. And this is the truth, at least what I've found. And hopefully that's not true. But this is also another framing thing. So everything's inside of here. Train this shit and you'll become invincible. Love.